And
Yeah.
here's the thing: what I've been seeing, I guess we can move on to Ahsoka now.
Yeah.
What I've been seeing is a lot of people going, "Oh, if you like Andor, you won't like Ahsoka, and if you like Ahsoka, you probably didn't like Andor." And I'm sat here after the first 2 episodes going, "I loved Andor because it hit the political stuff of Star Wars that I love so much."
Mm-hmm.
I also love Ahsoka because it is giving me that mystical shit that
That
I
is
also
that is
fucking
Star
love.
Wars.
Yeah, there are two parts of Star Wars mainly. You've got the political stuff and you've got the mystical stuff. And it
Yeah.
is absolutely fine if you prefer one over the other. I
Mm-hmm.
happen to fucking adore both.
Oh yeah,
And so far, it's not missing.
I don't think you can only like one. We're proof of that. I mean,
Yeah.
Andor is. I feel like Andor, for people that aren't heavy into Star Wars or fantasy or sci-fi, like Andor hits better because it's just more relatable. It's not too out there as it's like a sci-fi thing. Ahsoka is like full on Star Wars through and through, and it's like if you're not into Star Wars and all the Jedi shit and all the mysticism, like you aren't gonna like Ahsoka. And Ahsoka, even more so than anything before, is like really leaning into the mysticism shit. And I'm so into it.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree. With Andor, what you had was you had a story being told of a tyrannical government, a tyrannical enemy, whatever. People can put a real world face to that. They can understand that in their own terms. No one can understand, here is a magic map that was hidden in a temple that's going to help you find your friend who was trapped
made by
with an army
witches.
guy. Yeah. No one can relate that to their personal life. It's like, if
you've got to be,
you need medicating.
You've got to be into Star Wars to really, and like, this is also, so getting into this now, Ahsoka. I'm trying to think where episode one opened up with her.
Episode 1 started with the Phantom Menace done evil. It was the Jedi want to board the ship to look at the prisoner.
Yes.
And then it was Balin and his apprentice Shin.
No. I had this.
Balin.
It's. Oh my.
Yeah, Shin Haiti.
Yes, sorry, yeah. I'm thinking last name, the Haiti part, because it's, if I remember, it's Balin's skull in Shin Haiti. Now this is going back to the wolves, okay, and the theory I've seen and what I'm. Skull and Haiti are the two wolves out of Norse mythology.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
So and he's really dark in clothing, and she's light with white hair, like the dark wolf and the light wolf on the painting.
He also
this
was.
Show's gonna continue to fuck with my head.
Yeah, and also you've got to think it's all leading to this like force balance, right? Because was Jedi, survived the Order 66, escaped, has turned not Sith, something in between. We know this because we had that discussion about it way back when Dave Filoni said, yes, it's slightly orange lightsaber. She is apprentice, not come from Jedi, probably come more from Sith sided, and it's like, okay, there's some weird force balance shit going on there. That he doesn't at any point say he is Sith. But he says they are not Jedi. So they are some weird in between. Bit like the wolves, they aren't like associated to one side.
Yeah, the wolves didn't care about if it was the Empire or whatever. They just wanted to protect Lothal.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I really like. So they did all that, and they free the prisoner who we all recognize from Mandalorian when Ahsoka fights her.
Oh, yes. I hadn't put that together, but yes.
Yes, it's the same person.
That was not in my head at all. Okay, so when we saw her in Mandalorian, that was the person she was arresting.
That's who Ahsoka fought.
Okay, cool.
And obviously got the Beskar spear off her or whatever. Yeah. She is a... I forgot the planet.
She's
now.
A Night Sister. Dathomir.
Yeah, she's a Night... Dathomir, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, she's a Night Sister. Which I instantly, when they mentioned that, I was like, okay, I know where this is going. we're getting into some weird Force magic shit.
Even the Jedi Order, when the Jedi Order was still around, didn't fully understand what the Night Sisters knew.
Yeah, and
They called them witches, for fuck's sake.
yeah, and they didn't
could make
fuck with
stuff
them.
levitate with their mind. Like, come on.
I mean, the shit they did to our boy Darth.
Yeah.
Like, they did some weird shit to bring him back and give him legs. So
Yeah. Do not fuck with the Night Sisters.
And not much is
rule.
known about them, so it's like there's freedom there for them to be like, Dave Filoni can do what the fuck he wants. The whole then we get like Ahsoka go. She's going for help.
We get her Indiana Jones scene where she goes to find the map.
Yes. There's a lot of insinuation of threes in this.
Yes. The 3 is the Star Wars magic number, which is ironic, bearing in mind the rule of 2 was always seen as like the only real number in Star Wars. Now you've got the father, the daughter, and the son. You've got the 3, and each one got turned 3 times on 3 different sides when Sabine opened the map.
It's like there's 3 statues on the outside, then she goes down, and there's 3 more that look like Night Sisters. She does all that. She gets this like orb map. Of course, then we get to see Hera. She meets up with Hera. Everything gets explained that the prisoner got free. You should go and ask Sabine. She can probably help with that. Something to note, we are now seeing Ahsoka in grey robes, not white robes.
Yes.
Something that I've seen a bit of a theory on is Dave Filoni talked a lot about, or has in the past talked a lot about how much love he has for Gandalf. And Gandalf wasn't a completed teacher when he was Gandalf the Grey. He was still learning, and then he became Gandalf the White. This almost feels like he's doing the reverse. Ahsoka thought she finally got to a point where she's known everything. Then she's realized she doesn't, and she has to be in between. She went back to being a grey Jedi, and now she's wearing grey robes.
See, I have a slightly different take on that.
Okay.
The bit we saw at the end of Rebels, where she collects Sabine.
Yeah.
I think that's actually how Ahsoka's going to end. And that's why she's in white robes at the end of Rebels, because she's now fully become the teacher.
Yeah, but this is after.
Ingrained. No. So that last scene in Rebels, we know there's a time jump there.
Right.
I'm saying that very last scene is how Ahsoka's going to end.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to find out that little bit of time leading up to that. And that's why she's in white at the end of Rebels.
Possibly.
Because her and Sabine have mended their relationship, and they are now master and apprentice.
Possibly.
Properly.
But I think there's something going on there.
Yeah,
with
there's
like,
definitely something to that.
It basically
does nothing by accident.
It basically feels like Dave Filoni's been like, she's a grey Jedi, without just spelling it out that she's a grey Jedi, because
Dave
he knows.
Filoni seems like the kind of guy who likes a grey Jedi.
He's shown many times he loves the stuff from Star Wars Legends, which is not canon anymore, but like he keeps pulling things like Thrawn. Would not surprise me if this series with the slightly orange lightsabers, and he plays in grey Jedis, and he brings in this whole thing about like the whole bleeding a lightsaber and everything gets made canon. I would love.
It's either that, or he's going to use this once and all show. No matter how in between someone might seem, they are always one or the other. So the entire show might be about going, they could be in between, but look, when it matters, you are one or the other.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. At the end of the second episode trailers, people have noticed something. Or the credits at the end of the second episode. Sam Withers has a voice credit.
I'm guessing he was one of the weird wispy voices.
Either that, or some people think he might be the Inquisitor Marok. Because, remember, people got very excited in the trailer that Marok was using a move similar to Starkiller. And everyone was like, oh my god, Marok's going to be Starkiller, live action Starkiller. And everyone went, no, that'd be dumb, Starkiller's too OP. What if that was actually just teasing that Sam Withers is going to be playing Marok? Not that Marok is Starkiller, just Sam Withers is playing Marok. And that's why
That'd be
that
cool.
move is the same, because Sam Withers was obviously...
That would be cool. Saying about this, the Inquisitor, the most badass move I think ever in Star Wars. I'm saying it now.
Ahsoka just...
Ahsoka no look dodging the boomerang like nonchalant. Like that was because everyone knew that got thrown. Okay, that's coming back at some point. And she's probably going to do some like flip over the top of it or something. No, she just stood there and just goes, psych. You fought.
There is only one valid complaint I've seen about Ahsoka, which is valid.
Okay.
The lightsabers are not the best lightsabers have been. They don't have the after effect glow. They're very, very tubey. There's not enough light bleeding away from them. And it does, while it's not a huge thing, I don't think it's as big a deal as some people are making it out to be. It does take a little bit away from it. And I miss it.
Do you know why I think that's happened?
Go on.
So you've got it, like, this is just, they could have probably done something to fix this, but probably they used tube lights in general. With coloured light, that will be picked up a lot better on the camera of a bleed and motion blur because it'll be so different and contrasting. The issue you've got with a white lightsaber is, on set, there is big, huge white lights lighting the scene. Getting that like blur to show is going to be really hard without over forcing it through VFX, and then maybe it looks wrong. That's my only thought of to like why it's not come across.
And it's not the end of the world. I'm just saying, if people who really want to be angry, that is a valid thing for them to go, that's not ideal. But it's not a deal breaker at all because the show's good enough so far.
I will say, on the subject of like Ahsoka and Eliza, some of the moves she's doing now are so sick. Like some of the coolest moves we've seen from a Jedi, even though she's not technically a Jedi, but you know what I mean. Like the whole, when she cut the floor in a circle without her even holding them, using the Force, we got to see that again. The whole like being able to Force push while she's holding the lightsaber still, which actually hasn't happened a lot. Very clear to make it like she does the hand, like the way she holds it and points her finger is just how they animated it in Clone Wars. They've made sure that's transferred across. You're like, okay, this is Ahsoka. Like, she's just a badass.
It's very interesting to me though, because obviously we know she's gone off and spent some time with Luke in between.
Yeah.
I really like the idea that she seems so much more competent now because her and Luke have learnt from each other. Because obviously the whole idea is Luke gets the Force in a visceral way. I feel like, yes, she taught him a lot about the Jedi Order because she was there for it.
Yeah.
And in return, he helped her learn the last few bits she needed.
Oh yeah, I imagine
she's nowhere near as hot-headed as she was when she was a teenager. She's mellowed.
I definitely think it's like that time she spent with Luke. Like you say, they've both shared things. Also, you've got to imagine like she'll have shared what Luke's father, like what Anakin was like to Luke, and like told him stuff that no one else can tell him about what Anakin was like before he became Darth Vader. And like he being so competent in the Force, like you say, they'll have just practiced and trained and talked and like both learned from each other. And I think you're right. She, from the things that happened in Rebels and her finally accepting what happened to Anakin and then taking the weight of that burden that she blames herself, that because she left, that's why he turned to the dark side. She's accepted that. She's accepted that the Jedi way is not the way. But then she's also like improved in her abilities and whatnot. Obviously, the first episode ends with Sabine trying to fighting the robots, and then the little
and Sin Haiti.
And then we all knew she was going to lose. I think that's safe to assume.
I don't think anyone expected her to get fucking stabbed through the abdomen, though.
No, and I was like, no way they've just killed off Sabine. Like, no way we've been waiting this whole time.
Imagine.
I was like, if they've just killed Sabine off in episode 1,
there's definitely a reason they did a dual episode drop. They decided they were going to stab Sabine at the end of the first episode, and they were like, if we make them wait a week,
They're gonna,
people are going to get death threats.
yeah, there's gonna
Because
be
they know
anger.
what Star Wars fandom is like.
I think that, and also there was a little slow to get going at first, and I think
Andor proved it's necessary. If you need 2 episodes to get going, take the 2 episodes.
Yeah,
who cares?
They realized from Andor it worked really well for setting the pace and building the pace up. So why not do it for this? Obviously, it ends with that, but they kind of hint that she's not out because she's still. It's not like she's just collapsed and she's dead. There was so many little things, Easter eggs in the tower as well. Yeah. So there was. Did you notice the scout trooper helmets?
Yes.
Because they wore those when they infiltrated the ship, and many times she had crossed out stormtrooper helmets. How many times she's killed stormtroopers? There was all the loft cats drawn, stacks of rocks, which people are going, is that her referencing her training of Luke when he had to stack rocks? There's so many little details with that I really loved. Her armor, the way her armor's painted, is exactly like how it ended looking at the end of Rebels. Obviously, the whole her cutting her hair mirrors exactly how Kanan cut his hair with a knife, but also the point of, she said in the past in Rebels that, she has her hair short because her head gets hot in the helmet. Yeah. It's she's finally putting the armor back on. She does that, and that's getting into episode 2 now, which episode 2 was also great. We get more, we get Chopper properly.
Yeah. I love the little back and forth when they're chasing the ship of him where'd you put my thing? Mum, where is my thing, Mum? And she's just have you
someone's messed with my stuff. Chopper being who the fuck has touched my stuff? And I was no one's touched it. Look properly. And he's it's not here. And then is it under the backup battery? And it's what does he say? He's shoot. And she goes, we can't blow up the ship. And he definitely says, why not though? Why not? Why can't we blow up the ship? Oh yeah, she says
one good reason.
No, he's just shoot the ship, and she's no, it'll crash down into the port. And he's that's a bad thing. Which, to be fair, we just learned at that point that there was many imperialists down in that port city. Is it a bad thing if the ship crashes down there?
It's also when they tag the ship and they're celebrating, they've tagged it.
And then he's
flexing with his arm. Brilliant.
It's so good. They've really brought
they've
Chopper
given the head the tilt as well, so it doesn't just spin. And I understand people were probably concerned about getting Chopper right in live action because he moves like no other droid because he was animated. But the fact that they've given his head the tilt as well as the arms.
Oh, they've nailed Chopper and slightly made it easier to understand what he's saying is obviously on purpose.
Yeah.
The banter between him and her, I think that's a tease of what this is. We're gonna get Chopper full and full.
We need at least one episode of Chopper and someone being stranded somewhere and just bickering while trying to get it done the entire time.
I really want to see Chopper get, how in Rebels he had different paint jobs for different things. I want to see that happen. I want to see him infiltrate something.
He's finally happy because he's not been painted for years. And Sabine just comes out of the woodwork with a can of fucking spray. And she's it's time, buddy.
But the Hera was amazing. We got more of her in that second episode. Obviously, we got the reveal that the port guy is I answer to my investors. And everyone's makes sense, corporations. And then when you think afterly, it's well, yeah, of course his investors are evil people that have that. But I don't think
anyone who has enough money to invest in stuff that isn't a little bit evil.
I love that the C3 unit dossed him in, though. He's there's none of those droids here. And she's the droid's I dealt with one yesterday.
Yeah.
He's and you see everyone suddenly go on edge and you're oh wait, shit, the whole room is not good.
Are they in the room with us? Yes.
Obviously then all that goes down and we have the little chase, and then we see Ahsoka fights the Inquisitor.
I do wonder if he's actually an Inquisitor or if it's just someone who's stolen Inquisitor's lightsaber.
So everyone is presuming he is Inquisitor. We don't know for sure. He has a very similar armor design to the fourth brother, I think it is what they're called.
I get that, but I mean, if he's stolen their lightsaber, it's just as possible that he stumbled across the fourth Inquisitor dead and like
Possibly.
just taken the armor and modified it.
Yeah, it's possible.
So it'll be curious. I think there's definitely a fair bit of story there.
Yeah, I think it would make sense for if you think like it's a Night Sister, it's an ex Jedi and his new apprentice. Like it would make sense to have like a long lost Inquisitor, sort of like presumed dead, is actually still alive. Like I think it makes sense that he would be rocking around with them. So yeah, interesting to see how that. Obviously, then we see them figure out like they have the opened thing and they go to some unknown planet where there's like this weird, almost Stonehenge-esque sort of structure.
Proper ancient technology designed for reading a map like this.
Yeah. And then she does her green witchy magic. Made sure to make sure it was all green and flame-esque, like from Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows like this map and this pathway, which is I forget does he call it the Purgle Path?
No, he called it something else. And he was like, "That was
an old Jedi
children's tale."
Yeah, a Jedi order. We got told that as kids or whatever.
And then in proper Night Sister fashion, she was like, "Everything's based in truth."
Yeah, magic. I also love that the episode was called "Toil and Trouble."
Yeah,
which is like a reference to the witches from Macbeth, is it?
Yeah.
I think. Which
when
the title came up for that,
has no problem.
When the title came up, I was like, very witchy-esque episode coming, and I wasn't wrong. And then we also get the thing of like that people have picked up on. Usually, whenever scientists have mentioned this stuff, they say space and time. That's always the order it's said. She says time and space, which people have picked up on. Is like obviously we're not like that's not how it's in everyday life said. And people are like, okay, this is very time focused. Like this is clearly a pathway that goes through time. Where we don't know. She's hearing the voice of Thrawn. And they're obviously building this structure to get there.
My real question is, why would a Night Sister want to save Thrawn?
Power, I would imagine. Thrawn,
because Thrawn's not exactly known for sharing power, though.
No, but you've got to think she's a Night Sister that survived through everything and probably is alone. So she's not like she has the power of the Night Sisters.
Dathomir did get absolutely bent over.
So Thrawn was very interested in other cultures.
True. Probably respects the culture.
Probably had a lot of interest in Dathomir and Night Sisters and all that. Probably met her before and she's made something there and she thinks him coming back maybe will shift the power and give her more freedom to have like control over things. Maybe you try and use him as a puppet.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how the show plays out. I'm looking forward to more Rebel-esque fun.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really enjoyed David Tennant.
Yes.
Really good.
I saw someone call him Dr. Huang on Twitter, which I'm all for. I love that they brought him back as if Ahsoka kind of like hunted him down after Order 66 and was like, "Oh, I have you." Like, although he was just built lightsabers, actually he has a expansive knowledge because of that. Of like,
he worked for the Jedi Order for thousands of years. You pick up stuff. Yeah, his specialty is lightsabers, but he gets.
But also just the knowledge of, oh, this lightsaber, I know who that person is.
Yeah, and exactly. And also building off that relationship as well to try and lean Ahsoka towards working with Sabine and just kind of nudge in the right direction.
The ego check he gives Sabine, which was actually a really great little moment. Gives me similar C-3PO energy of like worried
Yeah,
about his own mortality, but then
yeah,
very intelligent.
yeah. I'm really enjoying it. The voice acting's really good. It works.
It's
It's a character that I didn't know I wanted back, but I'm glad it's back.
yes, exactly.
Um,
But overall,
but
this show
yeah,
has a like great start.
yeah, it's not given us too much to the point where we can already see where it's going 100%, but it's giving us enough to go, interesting, hmm,
There's
curious.
we know Ahsoka from the trailer. We know at some point she fights Balin. Um,
Yes.
from the
And that
trailer.
looked like it was in the places between places, didn't
So
it?
this is
Or
the
whatever
thing.
it's
In the
called.
trailer, I was like that very much like looks like the place between because it was
Yeah.
like all these weird like circular lines and
Really
starry like
dark and then just random circle lines, yeah.
after that weird like Stonehenge place where it appears around them. I'm like, could it just be that? And she fights them at that place for the map or something. Possibly, like, is that where
But
the
we're
fight?
already kind of past that point because they've opened the map and they know where they're going now.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean they don't need to
But
recheck it.
but also maybe the similar styles is because them little places are other ways to get into the place between
Yeah,
places. And that's why
possibly,
they're used for opening them maps, which show how to get somewhere potentially through time and space.
potentially. So I think there's a chance we get that like the nowhere in between.
Yeah.
I
The interesting
also
thing is also
go on.
the ship they were building to go get Thrawn
Hmm.
has multiple hyperdrives.
So that's something. It's got 9 hyperdrives, which once again is a multiplication of 3. We're
Uh-huh.
back to the number 3. Uh, way more than any of the larger ships would even need.
Yeah.
Which obviously makes you go, okay, well, if they're trying to copy a Purgle and jump through time and space, then I
Well,
get
that was another thing to notice when the thing was spinning up and we were getting the light show. Purgles were being used as like
yes,
the
they
border.
were shown as like
Yeah.
a little
So
illustration.
it fully shows that the Night Sisters understood that Purgles
They have
had the
a
ability to travel through hyperspace,
yeah.
and they had a knowledge of how they work.
The Night Sisters have a wider knowledge of some of the more mystical sides of the Force that the Jedi have kind of ignored over the years or not paid too much attention to. Though yeah, there was a lot of things and a lot of the ways that like it's drawn out with that star map is very similar to like the place in between. I think it's going to be interesting because I'm not sure. I feel like Balin's playing a different hand. He's not fully shown what what he wants out of all of this.
Yeah, he's coming across very mercenary, which is what they think he is, but it seems like to us that no,
He
he
has his
has
own
an
agenda.
ulterior motive that's
Yeah,
not credits.
yeah. Which will be interesting to see. I'm excited to see Ahsoka and Sabine become Master Padawan again. This is going to be a fun
I'm
little
looking
journey.
forward to the eventual Ahsoka Sabine versus Haiti and Balin.
Yes.
That's going to be a top lightsaber scene. Also, I saw on Twitter today that Sabine Haiti fight is the first time we've seen 2 women lock lightsabers in the Star Wars universe
Oh shit. Okay,
in
that's
live
pretty cool.
action.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Didn't know
So, dub, dub.
that.
Um,
But yeah, very excited for Ahsoka and where this is going to go, and very excited for the Thrawn return, and hopefully an Ezra return.
yeah, I'm in. I'm interested. I getting towards the end of Rebels, I was like, okay, cool. So it's going to be a continuation, but it'll be a brand new story. And then them last 4 episodes of Rebels were just filling me with questions. I was like, oh shit, no, Ahsoka's going to answer a lot of questions.
It's. Do you know what I'm waiting for? The just a little hint of cloning is happening. That Dave Filoni just slips under the rug, just like, oh yeah, don't forget this is going on to answer
Yeah.
the question that happened in the prequel.
Man
But
is desperately trying to fix that one line of dialogue.
yeah.
Palpatine returns somehow.
He'll do it.
He's going to
I
find a way to
believe.
fix it.
I believe.